Buying a Premier League football club sounds like the ultimate billionaire fantasy. You purchase a famous badge. You walk into a stadium filled with tens of thousands of supporters. You control transfers. You appoint the manager. And every weekend, millions of people around the world watch your team play. From the outside, it looks like one of the most powerful businesses in sport. The television money is enormous. The stadium is full. The shirts sell around the world. Sponsors compete for space on the kit. Players can be transferred for tens of millions of pounds. And the value of the club may rise dramatically over time. But owning a Premier League club is not the same as owning a normal company. The customers do not simply buy a product. They inherit the club from their parents. They organize their lives around it. They expect the owner to spend aggressively, protect tradition lower ticket prices, improve the stadium, and win trophies, usually at the same time. A Premier League owner is not just purchasing a team. The owner is purchasing a place inside the world's richest domestic football competition, a collection of player contracts, a global entertainment brand, a stadium operation, a property asset, or sometimes a stadium liability, a player trading portfolio, a highly emotional relationship with supporters, and one terrifying possibility: relegation. The Premier League generated approximately £6.8 billion of club revenue during the 2024-25 season. Yet the same clubs recorded combined pre-tax losses of approximately £948 million. Only 8 of the 20 clubs reported an operating profit. In other words, the richest football league in the world can generate record revenue, while many of its owners still lose money. So what are you really buying when you buy a Premier League team? Where does the money come from? Where does it disappear? And why can a club valued at more than £1 billion still require its owner to inject more cash? To understand the economics, begin with the purchase itself. You are not buying 11 players. The price announced in a football takeover is rarely the full economic cost. The buyer may purchase the shares of the club, but the club may also have external debt, unpaid transfer installments, future player bonuses, stadium obligations, training ground projects, outstanding legal disputes, and a squad that requires immediate rebuilding. A buyer might acquire the equity for hundreds of millions of pounds and then discover that hundreds of millions more are needed to make the club competitive. When Chelsea's sale was agreed in 2022, £2.5 billion was allocated to purchasing the shares, while the ownership group also committed £1.75 billion for investment in the club's stadium, academy, women's team, and other infrastructure. Manchester United's minority investment demonstrated another version of the same principle. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's group agreed to purchase a major minority stake and separately committed $300 million for infrastructure investment. The share purchase bought ownership. The additional investment was intended to improve the physical club. The first lesson is simple. The acquisition price gets you through the door. It does not finish the project. Sometimes it only reveals how expensive the project has become. A new owner may need to renovate the stadium, modernize the training ground, hire a recruitment department, replace the executive team, pay compensation to remove a manager, recruit another manager, clear old debts, and rebuild a squad created by the previous ownership. The purchase price is therefore only the first layer. Behind it sits the working capital needed to operate, and behind that sits the capital required to compete. Revenue Stream 1. Broadcast money. The most important economic advantage of Premier League ownership is access to central broadcast revenue. A club does not negotiate the main Premier League television contract alone. The league sells its rights collectively. It then distributes central revenue to the clubs through a formula that includes equal payments, league position payments, and payments related to televised matches. This collective structure gives even smaller Premier League clubs access to television income that many famous European clubs cannot match. The domestic broadcast agreements beginning in the 2025-26 season are expected to generate £6.7 billion across 4 years, from Sky Sports, TNT Sports, and the BBC. That is before including the league's international broadcast agreements across dozens of territories. For an owner, this creates a powerful starting point. Before selling a single-ticket shirt or sponsorship package, the club has access to central league distributions. Everton's 2024-25 accounts provide a useful example. The club reported £129.2 million of broadcast revenue, compared with £20.3 million of Matchday gate receipts. That does not mean every Premier League club has exactly the same mix, but it demonstrates how television can dominate the economics of a club outside the highest commercial tier. Broadcast money behaves like the league's central engine, but the engine does not pay every club equally. League position matters. Television selections matter. European qualification matters. Cup performance matters. One victory near the end of the season may move a club several places higher in the table. That can change merit payments. It can affect sponsorship bonuses. It can decide European qualification, and it can alter which players are willing to join the club. A Premier League match is therefore not only a sporting event, it is an economic event. Revenue Stream 2, Matchday Income. A stadium has a limited number of seats. Each home match creates one opportunity to sell them. Once the match begins, an empty seat becomes expired inventory. It can never be sold for that fixture again. But the ticket is only the beginning. Clubs can sell hospitality packages, executive boxes, food and beverages, premium lounges, parking, museum tours, stadium tours, matchday programs, retail merchandise, and sponsorship experiences. The largest clubs can generate substantial income from premium seating because the customer is not purchasing only 90 minutes of football. The customer may be purchasing dining, networking, comfort status, and access. This is why two stadiums with similar capacities can produce very different matchday revenue. One may have thousands of premium seats, modern kitchens, corporate lounges, and year-round event spaces. Another may have old concourses, limited hospitality, and almost no non-matchday revenue. In 2024/25, combined Premier League matchday revenue exceeded £1 billion for the first time. Growth was supported by ticket price increases, enhanced stadium experiences, and extra fixtures for clubs participating in European competitions. A modern stadium can also operate when football is not being played. Concerts, conferences, NFL games, auction events, restaurants, retail, hotel rooms, museums, corporate meetings. The stadium becomes a year-round entertainment asset, but that advantage requires investment. A larger stadium creates more revenue capacity. It also creates more security costs, more cleaning, more utilities, more maintenance, more employees, more financing, and more pressure to fill the building. Everton's new stadium illustrates the scale of such investment. By the end of the club's 2024-25 reporting period, total project spending had reached approximately £813 million. The club also warned that stadium operating costs had nearly doubled because of maintenance, utilities, safety requirements, and additional staffing. A new stadium can transform revenue, but it is not a free revenue machine. It is another business that must be financed, operated, and filled. Revenue Stream 3. Commercial income. Commercial revenue includes sponsorships, merchandise, licensing, partnerships, tours, and other brand-related income. This is where the largest clubs begin separating themselves from the rest of the league. Every Premier League club receives broadcast revenue, but not every club can sign the same global sponsorship contracts. A globally recognized club can sell partnerships in dozens of categories. Training kit sponsor, sleeve sponsor, official airline, official bank, official technology partner, regional betting partner, official beverage, official tire, official blockchain platform, official anything. The product being sold is not only space on a shirt, it is association with the club's identity and global audience. In 2024/25, Premier League commercial revenue increased to approximately £2.4 billion. But the traditional Big Six clubs generated nearly 3/4 of the league's combined commercial income. That concentration matters. A mid-table club may receive competitive broadcast income, but still face an enormous commercial gap. Its matches are shown around the world. But global viewers may support Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, or Tottenham. The smaller club participates in the same league without owning the same international customer base. For a new owner, growing commercial income is attractive because it increases spending capacity without directly depending on ticket inventory. But building a global brand is difficult. Sponsors generally pay for attention. Attention usually follows history, star players, European football, and victories. This creates a loop. Winning attracts sponsors. Sponsors create revenue. Revenue supports better players. Better players increase the chance of winning. Breaking into that loop can cost enormous amounts of money. Revenue Stream 4. European football. Qualifying for European competition can transform a club's economics. There are additional broadcast distributions, prize payments, matchday revenue, sponsorship bonuses, more global exposure, more high-value fixtures, and stronger negotiating power with players and commercial partners. Premier League clubs received approximately £474 million in UEFA distributions during the 2024-25 season, supported by the expanded European competition formats and strong English performances. But European revenue can be dangerous when clubs begin treating it as guaranteed. A club qualifies for the Champions League. Revenue rises. The owner signs expensive players. Wages increase. Transfer amortization increases. The club then fails to qualify the following season. The European revenue disappears. The contracts remain. This is one of the central problems in football finance. Revenue can change in one season. Player contracts may last 5 or 6 seasons. The cost base remembers success longer than the income statement does. Revenue stream 5. Player trading. Players are employees, but in football, accounting their registrations may also be intangible assets. This creates one of the strangest financial systems in business. Imagine a club buys a player for £80 million and gives him a 5-year contract. Ignoring other costs, the £80 million transfer fee may be recorded as approximately £16 million of amortization per year across those 5 years. The cash payment schedule may be different. The accounting expense is spread through the contract. Now imagine the club sells that player after 2 years for £70 million. After 2 years, his accounting value may have fallen from £80 million to approximately £48 million. Selling him for £70 million could therefore create an accounting profit of approximately £22 million, even though the club originally paid more than the final sale price. This is why transfer headlines can be misleading. Purchase price, cash paid, annual amortization, book value, selling price, accounting profit. They are not the same number. Academy players create an even more powerful accounting effect. A homegrown player may have little transfer value recorded on the balance sheet. If he is sold for £40 million, most of that fee can appear as profit from player trading. This makes the academy more than a football development system. It can become a financial engine. But relying on player sales creates risk. A player may become injured, lose form, refuse a new contract, enter the final year of his agreement, or become impossible to sell because his wages are too high. A squad may look valuable on a transfer website while producing very little real liquidity. The player is only worth what another club is willing and able to pay. The biggest cost: wages. A football club's most important assets are also its largest operating cost. Players, coaches, recruitment staff, medical staff, analysts, executives, academy employees, commercial teams, stadium workers, security, catering, media, technology, and administration. Premier League wage costs reached a record £4.4 billion in 2024-25. That represented approximately 65% of combined club revenue. But the league-wide percentage hides major differences. One club may have enormous commercial revenue and comfortably support a large wage bill. Another may spend a similar percentage while depending heavily on broadcast money. A third may spend beyond its current revenue because the owner expects future growth. Football wages are difficult to reduce quickly. The owner cannot simply lower a player's salary because the team missed Europe. The contract remains legally binding. The club can attempt to sell the player, but the player may not want to leave. The buying club may not match the wage, and the player may prefer to wait until the contract expires. This means a poor recruitment decision can remain inside the cost base for years. Transfers are more expensive than the headline fee. Suppose the club signs a player for £60 million. The headline says £60 million, but the true commitment may include the transfer fee, agent fees, signing bonuses, performance bonuses, league position bonuses, European qualification bonuses, loyalty payments, image rights arrangements, and 5 years of salary. A player earning £150,000 per week costs approximately £7.8 million per year in basic wages. Across 5 years, that is £39 million before bonuses and employment-related costs. The £60 million signing may therefore represent a commitment approaching or exceeding £100 million. And this is only one player. A Premier League squad may contain more than 20 senior players. The owner is not financing a starting 11. The owner is financing a portfolio of long-duration contracts whose performance and resale values constantly change. The illustrative mid-table club. Consider a simplified Premier League club. These figures are illustrative. They do not represent one specific team. The club finishes safely in mid-table. It does not qualify for Europe. It generates £140 million from broadcast and central distributions. It earns £25 million from matchday activities. It generates £45 million commercially, and it earns another £10 million from events, retail, and miscellaneous football operations. Total operating revenue is £220 million. That sounds enormous. Now subtract the costs. Player and staff wages cost £145 million. Transfer amortization and agent-related costs contribute another £55 million. Stadium academy, travel, security, medical, administrative, and commercial operations cost £65 million. Finance costs add £12 million. Total costs reach £277 million. Before player sales, the club is losing £57 million. Now suppose it sells players and records £30 million of transfer profit. The accounting loss falls to £27 million. The club has generated £220 million of operating revenue. Its stadium is full. Its matches are broadcast globally. Its players are famous. And it still loses money. That is not an unusual football contradiction. Across the actual Premier League, combined revenue reached £6.8 billion in 2024-25, while combined pre-tax losses approached £1 billion. Record revenue does not guarantee profitability. It can simply create confidence to spend even more. Why owners continue investing. If annual profits are uncertain, why do investors continue buying clubs? Because profit is only one possible return. The first is capital appreciation. A club purchased for hundreds of millions may later be valued in the billions if league revenue, global audiences, and scarcity continue growing. There are only 20 Premier League places. There are even fewer globally recognized English clubs available for purchase. Scarcity can increase value. The second return is strategic. A club can support a broader sports portfolio, a media business, a betting company, a real estate development, a hospitality network, a sponsorship platform, or a multi-club football system. The third return is influence. Premier League ownership provides global visibility that would be extraordinarily expensive to purchase through conventional advertising. The owner's name can appear in business media around the world every week. The fourth return is emotional. Some owners genuinely want to win. They are willing to accept low financial returns because trophies, status, and legacy have value to them. This makes football ownership different from ordinary private equity. The club may be expected to generate a return, but the owner may also be purchasing prestige. The relegation cliff. The most dangerous line in Premier League economics is not between profit and loss. It is between 17th and 18th place. The club finishing 17th remains in the Premier League. The club finishing 18th enters the championship. Broadcast revenue falls. Sponsors may reduce payments. Hospitality demand may weaken. Merchandise sales may decline. Players may request transfers. The club may need to replace the manager. And the squad may still contain Premier League salaries. Parachute payments help relegated clubs adjust. They are paid over as many as 3 years and reduce over time. But they do not remove the problem. The scale of the financial gap can also be seen from the value of promotion. Deloitte estimated that the winner of the 2026 Championship playoff final could receive at least £205 million of additional revenue across 3 seasons. If the promoted club survived its first Premier League season, the uplift could rise to approximately £365 million. Promotion is enormously valuable because Premier League membership is enormously valuable. Relegation removes that membership. Smart clubs place relegation clauses in player contracts. Wages may automatically fall if the club goes down. Smart clubs also maintain liquidity. They avoid building a squad whose costs can only be supported by permanent Premier League survival. But sporting ambition works against financial caution. Spend too little and the club may be relegated. Spend too much and relegation becomes financially catastrophic. The owner must decide how much money to risk to protect the money already at risk. The regulation problem. A wealthy owner cannot always solve the problem by injecting unlimited money. From the 2026-27 season, the Premier League's new squad cost ratio system is scheduled to replace the previous profitability and sustainability rules. The main threshold limits squad-related spending to 85% of football-related revenue and net player trading results. Squad costs include player and head coach wages, agent fees, and transfer fee amortization or impairment. Premier League clubs participating in UEFA competitions must also comply with UEFA's stricter 70% squad cost limit. This changes the meaning of wealthy ownership. The owner may have billions, But the club's football spending capacity is increasingly linked to the revenue the club can generate. A rich owner must therefore do more than provide cash. The owner must grow sponsorship, improve the stadium, increase hospitality, develop players, sell players intelligently, qualify for competitions, and build recurring football revenue. Money still matters, but revenue matters more than private wealth alone. The new system also includes financial resilience tests. Clubs will be assessed on short-term working capital, medium-term liquidity, and long-term balance sheet health. The system includes stress testing for shocks such as relegation, failure to qualify for Europe, loss of a major sponsor, or a major reduction in broadcast income. This is important because football clubs rarely fail only because their income statement shows a loss. They fail when cash is needed and unavailable. A transfer installment becomes due. Payroll approaches. A sponsor collapses. A stadium repair cannot wait. A lender refuses to extend credit. The accounting value of the squad may be enormous, but players cannot always be sold immediately. Liquidity, not theoretical wealth, keeps the club operating. The sporting flywheel. The ideal ownership model looks simple. Recruit good players. Win more matches. Finish higher. Qualify for Europe. Increase broadcast and prize revenue. Attract sponsors. Grow the fan base. Reinvest the money. Win again. But the flywheel can rotate backwards. Recruit badly. Lose matches. Replace the manager. Pay compensation. Sign players for the new manager. Fail to qualify for Europe. Lose commercial momentum. Sell players to comply with financial rules. And rebuild again. Football clubs are unusual because the most important business decisions are made under uncertainty. A player may cost £70 million and fail. A free transfer may become a star. A young academy player may become worth £80 million. A manager may transform the same squad without major spending. An injury can alter an entire season. A goal scored in the final minute may be worth millions. The owner can improve the process, but the owner cannot eliminate uncertainty. 3 ownership models. Imagine 3 clubs. The first is the disciplined mid-table club. It keeps wages below a controlled percentage of revenue. It recruits younger players. It sells some of them at a profit. It maintains a modern stadium. It accepts that European qualification is an opportunity rather than a guaranteed income stream. It may not win trophies quickly, but it can survive bad seasons. The second is the ambitious challenger. It spends ahead of revenue. It signs experienced stars on large salaries. It expects European qualification. If the strategy works, revenue grows and the club joins the elite. If the strategy fails, the club is left with expensive contracts and no European income. The third is the promoted club. Its revenue rises dramatically. It must improve the squad quickly enough to survive, but it cannot completely replace the squad every summer. It must decide which championship players can perform in the Premier League, which contracts require relegation clauses, which transfers retain resale value, and how much future income can safely be spent today. Every ownership model faces a different version of the same question: how much current cash should be sacrificed for future sporting success? The stadium question. A Premier League club may have a historic stadium loved by supporters, but it may generate limited hospitality income. It may require expensive repairs. It may have poor transport links. It may be impossible to expand. The owner can renovate, build a new stadium, move the club, or continue operating the old ground. Every option creates conflict. Supporters may oppose relocation. Planning permission may take years. Construction costs may rise. Interest rates may change. The team may be relegated during construction, and a new stadium may take decades to repay. But doing nothing also has a cost. Competitors with larger modern stadiums may generate tens of millions more from every season. The owner is therefore not simply deciding where the team will play. The owner is deciding the club's long-term revenue ceiling. Supporters are not ordinary customers. A normal company can rebrand, change colors, move headquarters, raise prices, remove an unpopular product. A football club cannot make these decisions so easily. The stadium has memories. The badge has history. The colors represent identity. The supporters believe the club belongs to the community, even when the shares belong to an investor. This creates a social contract. The owner is expected to behave like both an investor and a custodian. Spend money, but do not endanger the club. Modernize the stadium, but respect history. Increase revenue, but keep football affordable. Sell players intelligently, but do not sell the supporters' favorites. Hire experts, but understand the culture. The owner controls the company. The owner does not fully control the meaning of the club. That meaning belongs to millions of people. What does success look like? For some owners, success means profit. For others, it means capital appreciation. For others, Champions League qualification. For others, trophies. For others, avoiding relegation while improving infrastructure. A smaller club that finishes 10th, develops players, and produces positive cash flow may be economically successful. Supporters may still demand greater ambition. A larger club may win a trophy while recording a major financial loss. Economically inefficient. Emotionally priceless. This is why Premier League ownership cannot be judged through one number. Revenue matters. Profit matters. Cash flow matters. Squad value matters. Debt matters. League position matters. Fan trust matters. Stadium quality matters. And the direction of the club matters. The final ownership reframe. You thought you were buying a football team, but you were buying a performance-dependent media company, a stadium and hospitality operation, a global licensing brand, a regulated player investment portfolio, a property strategy, a community institution, and a permanent promise to supporters. The promise is simple: that the club will still be there next season, that it will remain competitive, that its history will be protected, and that tomorrow might be better than today. But delivering that promise is extraordinarily expensive. The club must pay players before knowing where it will finish, buy transfers before knowing whether they will succeed, maintain the stadium before knowing how many premium seats will sell, build a squad before knowing whether European revenue will arrive, and prepare for relegation while publicly promising ambition. Premier League ownership can create enormous wealth, but it can also consume enormous wealth. The league's clubs generated £6.8 billion in revenue in 2024-25. They paid £4.4 billion in wages. And together, they lost almost £1 billion before tax. That is the central paradox. The money is real. The audience is real. The assets are real. The growth is real. But the profit is never guaranteed because the owner does not control the final variable: the ball. One deflection, one injury, one bad transfer window, one missed penalty, one position in the table. That can separate Europe from no Europe, survival from relegation, profit from crisis, and a billionaire's dream from one of the most expensive mistakes in sport. That is the economics of owning a Premier League team.